The Juneau Empire was published out of this downtown building for a decade before moving to their new location a few miles out of downtown. To look at that new building with the latest technology involved in it, you'd never know that that move came about because of an embarrassing but easy to make mistake. Hello, I'm Scott Foster and welcome to Rain Country. That mistake came about when the company decided to buy a new press for this old building and then found that the room they had so carefully measured for that press had a large beam running across the ceiling that they hadn't even noticed, much less carefully measured. Well, the press didn't fit. And that predicament gave General Manager Jeff Wilson the incentive he needed to ask the paper's owner for a new building.
Everything in the building, heating, lighting, security, is done by computer. My maintenance supervisor, Jack Speed, can from his home turn on the furnace, start the fans, start the ventilation, check the status of the building, check its temperature, inside, outside, what's running, what isn't running, the security system, its status. He can also turn on the lights, turn them off, and we have everything programmed to where things come on and turn off at a certain time.
Besides controlling the building, computers are used in practically every facet in the production of the paper. Reporters use them for word processing local stories and to collect state and national stories with direct links to the New York Times News Service, Associated Press, and various other news services, as well as newspapers in several states owned by the Empire's parent company.
The computers automatically sort the stories we get, make copies of them, send them to the computers of the different reporters who are involved in those sort of stories. Like, for example, the business reporter will get all the business stories sent automatically to his computer. Sports reporter gets the sports stories. It spell checks them. It helps us lay out the page by a series of commands. We can make the story come out in any width, any size type, any of 53 different typefaces. From that point on, we hit the set button, and it goes downstairs to the computer down there, which then drives the typesetter and pumps out the copy at 700 lines a minute, and it's processed in a matter of less than a minute, and it's ready to be pasted onto the page. At that point, they take a picture of the page, and then they use that picture to burn an aluminum plate, and the plate's put on the press. And once you have all your plates on the press, you hit the go button, and you end up with 8,000 papers. What the presses allow us to do now is a lot more color. We want to get more and more involved in the color aspect of it because it's attractive, and it sells newspapers, and we happen to have one of the best photographers around on our staff, so we want to show off his work as much as we can too.
While the modern equipment and computers can claim their share of credit for making the paper look better and work more efficiently, there's another factor that has a great effect on not only efficiency, but the general atmosphere as well.
The difference between fitting your job into a building and having the building built around your job is like night and day. Each reporter has his or her individual work area. And in the old building, we were pretty much sitting on each other's lap, where if someone in one corner itched, everyone else scratched in the whole room. And I didn't realize how awful it was until we moved out here, where people actually have time and space and a little bit of peace and quiet to work and think. You can actually hold a conversation in our newsroom at deadline when 10 years ago you couldn't, because you'd have typewriters going and phones ringing and people yelling across the room to one another, and squeaky old chairs and people walking in and out of the newsroom to ask how you doing and important questions like that, you know. And it was exciting and fun, but it really didn't help get the paper out. Every time you had a single task to do, you had to drop everything else and go down some stairs or go across the into another office to do it. And here we have it set up where if I'm working on something at our copy desk, 99% of the things that I need to do when I'm at that station, I can do without even getting out of the chair. And that's a wonderful difference. Saves a lot of shoe leather. I know I get probably at least a third more work done in any given amount of time than I did in the old building.
The effects of one of the other amenities the new building presents is a little harder to assess. That's the sizable Alaskan art collection exhibited throughout the building. Many of the state's most noted artists, both living and dead, are represented, including Sidney Lawrence, whose paintings can fetch an impressive price.
Well, I'd rather not say how much it's all worth. It's, again, with 11 Lawrences, you can imagine. But I would assume that we have somewhere in the neighborhood of 80 to 90 different pieces of artwork.
According to Jeff Wilson, the art, the plush furniture, and the comfortable new surroundings all combine to create yet one more benefit for the effectiveness of the people working there.
Yeah, you sit behind this nice desk, you feel much more confident. You sit in an office like this, and it has to have an effect on you. It's where we used to, when I first got here and we had our offices at Main Street, my office wasn't much bigger than this desk. And when you're trying to talk to somebody, and when you're talking about some hard subject that has to do with some editorial you wrote with some senator, and you're in this crack-a-box office, it's 107 degrees, it makes it awfully difficult to make a point.
The Empire moved into the new building in 1987, the same year it celebrated its 75th year of publication. The paper has come a long way since those first days, and a long way since 1968, when William Morris III, one of the wealthiest men in the country, flew up from Georgia to add the Empire to his growing newspaper chain.
It had 13 employees, a circulation of a little over 3,000, a broken press, a 1916 vintage building that was falling down, and the paper was losing money. When I went back to Georgia and told what I had done, my bankers hit the ceiling. My associates were dismayed. My family thought I was suffering from temporary insanity. You bought a paper in Juneau what?